The Dragon's Shadow, China's quiet encroachment in Arunachal Pradesh. This is a story of silent aggression and strategic maneuvers. China is stirring trouble on India's northeastern frontier with Arunachal Pradesh, a region rich in culture and history. Beijing's attempts to rename places within this Indian state are provocative and calculated to unsettle the status quo. This tactic is part of a calculated strategy, a game of geopolitical chess where every move is deliberate. India views these moves with grave concern, understanding the broader implications for regional stability. Arunachal Pradesh, the land of dawn-lit mountains, is integral to India, both geographically and emotionally. China's claims are baseless and threaten regional peace, undermining decades of diplomatic efforts. Beijing calls Arunachal Pradesh Zhangnan or South Tibet, in an attempt to rewrite history and assert dominance. India has consistently rejected these claims, standing firm in its historical and legal stance. Arunachal Pradesh has never been part of China, a fact supported by historical evidence and international law. The international community must recognize these actions as hegemonic ambition, a threat to global order. China's behavior reflects a broader pattern of assertiveness across Asia, from the Himalayas to the South China Sea. New Delhi has condemned China's cartographic aggression, calling for international support and solidarity. The truth about Arunachal Pradesh must be defended, not just for India, but for the principles of sovereignty and justice. This is about upholding international law and sovereignty, principles that are the bedrock of global peace. The world watches India's response to these provocations, understanding the stakes involved. China's strategy is to change facts on the ground incrementally, a slow but steady encroachment. Persistence aims to normalize its illegitimate claims, making the extraordinary seem ordinary over time. India's resolve must not waver, as it stands guard over its territory and its principles. Defending Arunachal Pradesh is defending India's identity, its history, and its future. The dragon's shadow must not lengthen over this vital territory, a symbol of resistance against aggression. India's firm stance is crucial, a beacon of hope for all who value freedom and justice. Cardographic Warfare, a pattern of renaming provocations. China's renaming of places in Arunachal Pradesh forms a pattern of aggression, a deliberate strategy to assert dominance. This strategy has escalated over the years, becoming more frequent and bold. In 2017, China issued its first list of renamed places, marking the beginning of this aggressive tactic. India condemned this move, asserting its sovereignty and rejecting any attempts to alter the status quo. The provocations continued with a second list in 2021, further intensifying the situation. This involved 15 locations, showing China's growing boldness and disregard for diplomatic norms. India rejected these attempts, reaffirming Arunachal Pradesh as an integral part of India, and not up for negotiation. In 2023, China published a third set of names, continuing its pattern of renaming. This included mountain peaks, rivers, and residential areas, expanding the scope of their claims. Each announcement came with maps depicting these areas as Chinese territory, challenging India's sovereignty. This methodical approach reveals a long-term strategy aimed at altering perceptions and realities on the ground. It aims to chip away at India's claims and assert China's own, creating a new narrative. This is psychological warfare with maps and names, a subtle yet powerful form of aggression. These acts challenge India's sovereignty and test its resolve, pushing the boundaries of international norms. China hopes to create fabricated evidence for its ambitions, laying the groundwork for future claims. By 2025, the pattern is undeniable, a clear indication of China's expansionist agenda. It is a campaign of expansionism through nomenclature, using names to stake claims. India must remain vigilant and counter these moves with strategic and diplomatic efforts. The integrity of India's borders depends on it, requiring constant vigilance and proactive measures. This is not just a dispute over names, it is about rightful ownership and historical claims. India's firm stance is crucial in maintaining its territorial integrity and sovereignty. The power of names. China's strategy of historical revisionism is a calculated and deliberate effort. China's renaming efforts in Arunachal Pradesh are part of a broader strategy to assert dominance. Renaming is a powerful tool used to erase existing identities and impose a Sinicized narrative. By assigning Chinese names to places, China creates an illusion of historical control and legitimacy. This falsification of history aims to legitimize baseless territorial claims and expand influence. This tactic is not unique to Arunachal Pradesh. It has been employed in other regions as well. In Tibet, traditional names have been replaced with Mandarin, erasing centuries of cultural heritage. This erasure of cultural identity is a means to assert control over the region. In East Turkestan, now known as Xinjiang, Uyghur names are systematically replaced. This deliberate renaming erases the region's distinct identity and heritage. In Inner Mongolia, traditional names and cultural symbols are suppressed. Renaming is part of a broader strategy of cultural genocide and territorial consolidation. China's efforts in Arunachal Pradesh must be seen within this larger context of historical revisionism. It is not just symbolic, it has serious geopolitical implications. These territorial claims often precede more aggressive actions and military maneuvers. They build a flimsy case for future expansion. India is acutely aware of this danger. The world must recognize that this is not just a matter of semantics or names. It is about an expansionist power redrawing maps and rewriting history to suit its own narrative and ambitions. Section 4. Ancient Ties, Arunachal Pradesh and the Tibetan Sphere. Arunachal Pradesh was never part of Han China. Its cultural ties were with the Tibetan Sphere. The Tibetan Empire was a powerful entity, often rivaling Chinese empires. The Tawang Monastery is a testament to these ties. Founded by the 5th Dalai Lama, its links were with Lhasa, not Beijing. Communities in Arunachal share ethnic and cultural affinities with Tibetans. China's claim as South Tibet is based on its occupation of Tibet. This is a flawed argument. Arunachal developed its identity before modern China existed. The McMahon Line, agreed in 1914, formalized the border. China's refusal to recognize this line is based on denying Tibet's sovereignty. India upholds the McMahon Line. China's claims are a post-colonial anachronism. Section 5. Exploiting weakness, China's historical approach to expansion. China's expansion often exploits weakness in neighboring regions. Tibet's loss of independence is a stark example. In 1950, China invaded a militarily weak Tibet. The international community largely failed to intervene. China annexed a vast independent nation. This pattern of opportunism is not confined to Tibet. The PRC uses subtle tactics in the modern era. Claims over Arunachal intensified after consolidating Tibet. Beijing asserts areas influenced by Tibetan culture belong to China. This is a classic expansionist playbook. Create a claim, wait for weakness, assert through various means. India's resistance in Arunachal is against this pattern. The defense of Arunachal is a stand against opportunism. Section 6. Arunachal Pradesh, India's integral frontier and its modern significance. Arunachal Pradesh is integral to India, strategically important for security. India has administered and developed this region. The people of Arunachal are proud Indians. The McMahon Line serves as the de facto boundary. China's refusal to recognize this boundary is the root of the dispute. India's control is a long-standing reality. Recent events underscore Arunachal's significance. China objects to Indian leaders visiting the state. India dismisses such protests, asserting sovereignty. Arunachal's cultural richness is part of India's fabric. China's claims are an affront to India's sovereignty. New Delhi's firm position is about protecting citizens. India's firm stance is crucial. Section 7. Vigilance and truth defending India's sovereign land. Defending Arunachal Pradesh is about India's territorial integrity. Allowing China's claims would set a dangerous precedent. Regional stability is at risk. Indian soldiers defend these frontiers with valor. Their vigilance meets China's attempts with resistance. This military resolve needs political will and diplomatic efforts. A crucial part of defense is pursuing historical truth. China's narrative is built on distortions. India must counter with facts and evidence. The global community must understand China's pattern. Silence encourages further aggression. India must remain steadfast in defense. Historical truth and sovereign rights must be protected.